It's the beginning of another week. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi. Toka forgot our earrings today.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, how are you?
So I had an inappropriate earring. The color was just off and it's peeling. I'm comfortable without earrings anyway, so... The hair, oh my goodness, look at my...
How was your weekend?
Weekend was fantastic. Ewabella, that's my makeup brand, launched in Ogba on Saturday, and I was there all through Saturday and Sunday, so it was a very eventful, busy weekend.
Oh, it's a new branch. You kept saying Ogba. I kept thinking it was Ogudu.
No.
Oh, Ogba is a new branch. Yeah. Oh, congratulations. Yes. I always mix Ogba and Ogudu together.
It was totally last minute. Like, I'm not one to hide anything. Anything happening, everybody knows. If I'm doing anything, everybody knows. So it wasn't like it was pre-planned, all of that strategic positioning. It was just God. You know, someone just called me that they wanted me to show up, and I said, do you have a studio there? He said, we have a space for a studio, but we haven't gotten a makeup artist to be there yet. And that was it. And yes, it was just nicely timed.
Before you know it, Wabella will be in every single...
By God's grace, and by next year, God's grace, we have a product line.
I wanted you to keep it till next year, you know. Don't give us the news yet.
Don't worry, I don't have any secrets. The whole world will know, and God will manifest it.
But Wabella is like a perfect makeup brand.
Yes.
Yeah, like a nice makeup brand. Like the name. I'll buy an Wabella, you know. How are you doing, Nima?
Nima is good, selling rice.
As in, hey.
Please, don't be selling rice on our shop. What is that?
Okay, leave it. I actually have not been advertising my rice, but the rice just keeps going. I don't remember to talk about it. I've not posted it on my social media pages, once on my status, but rice just keeps... Madam, please can
local rice.
I'm marketing it for her. She doesn't know.
Rice is just
all the work I'm putting into that rice. Because the rice is there.
I want the rice too.
It was Bumi's birthday on Saturday.
Yeah.
Our producer?
Yes.
Imagine, nobody told me.
I had Facebook, but he reminded me this morning. I said, okay, no, I'll give him a shout out. But then again, it's Miriam's mom's birthday. In fact, happy birthday all the December people. Mama Kamal.
Okay,
Mama
that's
Kamal.
What they call
That's what they call. No, her full names are Mrs. Comfort Ibrahim.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Comfort Ibrahim. God bless you. Many more years in good health.
Fantastic.
They don't call her Mama Miriam. It's strange.
Miriam is not the first child now. How would you call her?
Miriam
is the first child.
Oh, yeah,
but we too, we call my mom Mama Rashida, so usually last. But Kamal is actually not the last either. So happy birthday, Ma. So you don't mind us. Many more fruitful years. We love you.
Yes, so many more fruitful years.
Hopefully we get some things from just. Thank you, Ma.
Those vegetables, you know.
Definitely, Nima is going to get a food pack for you to remember. Anyway, how are you doing, Obiajo?
I'm doing amazing. Today is my brother. Thank you. Today is my brother-in-law's birthday. Yesterday we christened his daughter in church. Yes, so I was doing all the hosting, the cooking, the serving. I was exhausted yesterday. So I just remember that today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Chukwuka. He's like my brother from another mother. You won't know he's my brother-in-law. He's so good, and I pray that the Lord blesses him.
That's good. Well, nice weekend.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I had a very good weekend. I mean, I had a 10-page paper due. So I had a lot of work over the weekend. I was doing that, and I have an event that I've been working on, and it's actually ongoing as I speak. So after the show, I'm zooming there. But I thank God all the work we put in. Today is obviously the climax, and I'm thankful that things are going well.
That's good.
Okay, news mentioned today. Today is United Nations World Day Against Corruption. It is regarded as the United Nations World Day Against Corruption since the passage of the UN's Convention Against Corruption on 31st of October 2003 to raise public awareness for anti-corruption. And ironically, we're discussing Sowore's continuous detainment.
I was going to say that
obviously it's quite related. But first, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Right, we're going to start with The Nation very quickly. Sowore Sage others kick as presidency defends DSS. Nation here, 11 held for oil theft. Yahoo boy sets lover ablaze for cheating on him.
Wow.
Belema pipeline set to build DHU tank farm in Rivers. Daniel fires Yakala fraud cases to get pep. Why Senate is in a hurry by Lawan. Hemp has done me good, says Charlie Boy. I didn't even bother reading that story. How I Reclaimed My Belt by Anthony Joshua. Okay, let's start with the oil theft.
Yes, so the Nigerian Navy arrested about 9 crew members and 2 engineers of a service vessel, MV Team Begele, on the waterway. So they arrested them. They found that they were passing through the Lagos waters without their proper documents, and so they carried out an investigation and found out that these people have actually been siphoning fuel even from as much as NPC, and they had over 3,000 jerry cans that they had stashed out in one island. So investigations are ongoing. They've been arrested. I think they had to burn down the 3,000 gallons of petroleum from those guys. Okay,
now that Orji Uzokalo have been convicted, the other ex-governors who are under investigation in the EFCC, the cases are being worked on now, and their EFCC has revved up.
Okay, since you've taken the story, the spokesperson for the Senate is saying that they cannot declare, because people were clamoring that since they've convicted him for 12 years, Kukuma declared his seat vacant, and they are insisting legally, they are correct that he has his appeals and he has not exhausted his appeals, and until that is done, his seat will not be declared vacant. That when Joshua Dariye's sentence came, the 8th Assembly went into extinction with it because he did not exhaust his appeal, even though he was already remanded.
Let's move on to The Punch. Sowore, U.S. raises concern once against anti-democratic actions. People attack Delta teacher after allegedly taking drugs. Internet fraudster burns girlfriend to death over infidelity. I signed sex tape girl's expulsion letter in tears, says Babcock VC. APC wins 16 Ekiti local government chairmanship seats, PDP kicks. Fowler's tenure ends, fate hangs in the balance. NCC creates emergency communication centers in 18 states. And IPPIS FG to decide VC's extension request today. Okay, we're going to skip Sowore because I'll focus on the hot topic, so we won't talk about it now. But this Babcock VC's article kind of bothered me. He said that at the time he was signing her expulsion letter, he was in tears because he felt that he wasn't trying to throw the baby with the bathwater, but he just felt that in protection of the reputation of the university, it was best for her to go. However, in the past, they've actually readmitted 2 other expelled students that maybe in future you've got to permit it. But I'm actually pained that they would. That's my own personal opinion now. It's not the general opinion. Why they would have to expel this young lady? Because she was a 300 level student. She's pretty close to graduation, and they're calling her for life because she made a mistake.
She made a mistake.
So I don't know. So it's a conversation we should have on a separate day. We can make it a different, because we know we discussed it at some point, but we can now use this VC's article to discuss and let us see exactly where his perspective is coming from.
How we can, if it is possible for media pressure to help them extend to her the hand of punish, but don't severely punish to the point where she would lose everything.
Yeah, I mean, she's a kid.
Have to talk about it.
Okay, let's take the other.
The human angle
okay, the alleged fraudster.
Yes, so this particular guy, his name is Victor Orji. He's a self-acclaimed internet fraudster. He met this girl through runs, more like she was into prostitution, and then took her in. They started cohabiting, and she promised she was going to stay faithful to him, only for her to start, going out again. I think there was a particular day she said she was going to make her hair. She didn't come back home. And then the next time again, she said she was going to see her dad, which she didn't do. She went to see another man. So when she got back, he took her phone and saw all the messages, the videos, the nude pictures that she had sent to the guy she's been having something with outside. And so he got so upset, poured petrol on him and got her.
Which he has confessed.
Yes, he has confessed to the crime. He's in custody, and he will likely be charged for murder.
Unfortunately, she died a day after the incident.
Nobody read the story about the teacher that was attacked by her pupils for taking drugs. I mean, I wish I read that story. Moving on now to Daily Trust. Fuel subsidy gobs 1.5 trillion naira. 8 years after 600 million Naira AIB lab still dormant. 6 secondary school students remanded over rape of colleague. At meeting with Buhari, APC governors exchange hot words over Oshomole. Let's start with the major headline.
Yes.
Nima.
Okay. All right. So Daily Trust carried out an investigation, and they found out that we have been spending from 2015 till date, we've been spending 1.477 trillion on fuel subsidy, which represents 1% of our GDP, Nigeria's GDP, and it indicates that per litre, we subsidize 7,464 for each fuel that we buy as citizens. And then they compared the budget basically to what the capital budgets for other infrastructures. They have that. We have 251 billion on health, 624 billion in education, 415 billion in agriculture, 624 billion in defense, meaning that we spend way more on fuel subsidy. But experts are saying that we can't take away subsidy at the moment because of the harsh realities of the Nigerian nation. We are complaining about the VAT that has just been increased. We have the border closure. Prices are, things have gone up. So if you now take away the fuel subsidy at the moment, it will. We've
been talking about this for a long time anyway, but let's take the other two stories.
There's another story, 600 million naira for the Accident Investigation Bureau. So we know that, after the several plane crashes that we had, we set up this bureau to investigate plane crashes and all that. 8 years after, the meteorological whatever science laboratory for that AIB that is built in Abuja has not kicked off, it has not started working. Whoa. And it has got over 600 million already. Whoa. As we speak. And the commissioner and the CEO for the AIB, Mr. Akinola Teru, says it's because the train, the Kaduna-Abuja rail line goes through that meteorological center. That is why, it's sort of delaying. So what they're looking at is how to move the location and move equipment so that
where's the money going to
kick off work. They've already bought and installed things, but they're not working. This center would have helped us investigate plane crashes, also help students investigate, and just that research alone that it will create might even help us.
We keep the story in Punch that you said you had interest in. Delta State, that happened in Delta State. So these students just finished their first term exams and they took hard drugs. It wasn't the teacher, it was a student that took hard drugs and then attacked one of their teachers, broke his forehead. And so the police is saying that this has been happening within, they rushed the teacher to a Federal Medical Center in Asaba. That it's been happening that secondary school students in this particular Zappa secondary school and other secondary school within that area now take hard drugs, not even normal, the herbs, weed, they take hard drugs. And so he's saying, the police is saying that they want to get more into investigating how they get it. But I think that the government should look into curbing this from secondary school. It's terrible.
Let's move on to Vanguard, unfortunately. There was another story on secondary school.
Yeah, same secondary school story. So this one happened in Osogbo, in Iwo Magistrate Court, where the court remanded about 6 secondary school students for conspiracy and rape. So they gathered and raped one of their classmates. They're between age 17 and 15. What's happening? And they're having issues.
Moving on now to Vanguard. Shores rearrest, respect rule of law. US tells federal government. Abductors of Catholic priests in Ondo demand 100 million naira. PDP kicks as APC leader clears 16 seats in Ekiti. Nigerians must resist acts of oppression, says Nadeko. IPPIS FG won't obey orders if taken to court. Will establish adult literacy scheme for 50 million illiterate Nigerians in 2020, says federal government. Why Senate will not declare Kalu seats vacant? I think Nima mentioned that already. Second Niger Bridge, pace of work, major achievement for Southeast Zone, says Umahi. Let's talk about which story? Yeah, go ahead, the priest.
So 2 priests were abducted on their way to perform a service in Ondo State, and now the abductors, the kidnappers, have opened a communication line with the church, and they are demanding for 100 million to be paid to them. But the police has commenced investigation, and they are promising that people have to, take their time because they don't want to get them out hurt. So they have to be very careful in carrying out. But that we should be rest assured that these
you would expect that our police will be released. This has become a trend where priests and clerics are usually picked up like that. You expect that our police will have information on why this trend is now the trend, why they are usually picking them up.
Okay, let's move on.
Take the major headline in the Sun. So
the major headline: President, governors, others face fresh hurdle on the election. Biafra's struggle cost us our parents, says Nnamdi Kalu's family. Auditor General recommends recovery of 224 million naira from NJC. Ganduje under fire over new Emirates. Okay.
So the new hurdle being that all the president, governors, and other political office holders, there's an amendment to the law. Currently, you just need to have a certificate, school certificate for you to become the president of Nigeria. And now it is past the first reading that would update and upgrade the qualification for you to become the president or for you to become a governor. will be...
What's the update?
So they were saying they were going to update it, like maybe you have a national diploma for some grades and some would have to be university. Minimum requirements for the presidency would be national diploma. They are going to alter it, but it's past the first reading.
We don't want diploma. Go to school. We are graduates here. We are not leading yet. So go to school.
Well, a diploma went to school.
No, as in go to, get like a master's, please. Please, to lead us.
Please. About that, but I hear you.
Yeah, we have to get to that
right
point.
Now, where Nigeria is right now, we need people who can go above and beyond.
Yes.
So we're not discriminating against.
We're not discriminating.
Let's not discriminate.
I'm not talking about certificates. If certificate is far from the problem we have, if we can just have a test that can ascertain integrity, a test that can ascertain honesty and sincerity.
Intelligence.
They go school plenty.
Very, very educated now. He was a lecturer.
Exactly.
So, but
let me take the Guardian very quickly. Government under fire for withholding unemployment data from public. Nima has that story in the Guardian.
Okay, so yes, 3 weeks to the end of this year, we've not heard from the National Bureau of Statistics on what the present unemployment rate is. Now, we don't have data on the rate of unemployment. The last one they released was in the third quarter of 2018, and that was when it was put at 23.1%. So we know it has worsened, and there's rumor, according to the article, that we've gotten to about 40-point-something%.
So the government is doing a lot of things for the monetary policy to stimulate funds for the government, but I'm not saying what we're doing to stimulate employment, especially concerning small businesses that are employing people.
It's also quite important
we need to do a lot more.
that they release this data from time to time to help people, to assess them. But if they're afraid of criticism, which is what the article is saying, they won't.
Unfortunately, we have to go on a break right now. When we come back, our focus today is on two major issues Nigerians are talking about. First, is SERAP's judgment against ex-governors who are currently holding political offices and still collecting pensions from their previous positions, and the issue of Sowore's continuous detention. So we'll talk about those two topics when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So according to reports, the convener of the Revolution Now movement and former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, was rearrested by the Department of State Security Service, DSS, on Friday. His rearrest has however sparked widespread reactions home and abroad. Joining us on the show is a human rights lawyer who happens to be his lead counsel, Mr. Femi Falana, SAN. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning.
You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTV so we can read your tweets. All right, sir. Based on what happened on Friday, we've heard different versions. The senior special assistant to the president on social media was saying that, it was drama, that this way she will arrest people that try to create this kind of drama.
Who said that?
That Onoche, that's Mrs. Loretta Onoche actually said it. Said that it was a drama that was put together in the courtrooms. Could you tell us exactly what happened on that Friday? For those who are still unclear, what happened within that caused that rearrest exactly?
With profound respect, the lady you refer to wasn't in the court. So she's not in a position to speak authoritatively on the gangsterism that we witnessed in court on Friday. And some of the sharps in government will have to understand that this country has a history. And it is a history that cannot support the armed invasion of a court. We haven't had it in Nigeria before. We've gone through all manners of dictatorships, and none of them invaded the court. Last Thursday, the court adjourned the case to the 6th, as the following day, for the counsel on both sides to report compliance with the order of the court, i.e. that Mr. Omoyele Sowore and Olawale Bakare had to be released within 24 hours. I got a call around 5:15 p.m. that day from the counsel to the lead prosecution counsel, that the State Security Service was ready to release our client. And since we have been warned that Omoyele Sowore in particular will be knocked down on the highway, so I sent a car with a couple of lawyers. They were released after about 2 hours. Okay. For security reasons, I booked accommodation for them. Okay. In Transcorp Hilton Hotel where I was staying. Okay. And when they came, I briefed them about development outside detention. Okay. And explained to them once again the conditions of their bail. Right. So that they won't breach those conditions. Right. Of course, from my investigation around the place, there were 2 vehicles stationed by the State Security Service for the purpose of monitoring them. Right. We had their numbers. Right. Because I'm used to them. Yeah. You know, it didn't really mean much. So we discussed briefly on their case, and they went to bed. The following morning, they drove with me to the court. But as I was entering the court, I saw a bunch of hired elements, apparently sponsored by the government, to protest against the release of Sowore and Bakari. Sowore in particular, with bold, you know, signages, inscriptions. Yeah. So we went in, you know, they were, you know, working for their pockets. So we went in. While we were in the courtroom, I got information that Sowore in particular will be rearrested. So I informed the court. But the state security, the counsel to the government said no, it wasn't aware. There was no such plan. Okay, no problem. So we went on. As soon as our case was adjourned, we were going out. When I heard behind me that my client had been arrested, it was about leaving the well of the court when it was assaulted, you know, in the courtroom. Of course, there were people, including lawyers, who felt, how dare you? Inside the court.
Well, the DSS said that he acted inimical to security.
No,
what exactly
we'll come to that in a moment. Now, he couldn't have acted inimical in the courtroom. Or maybe he committed the offense when he was in their custody. And of course, I've read another incendiary statement to the effect that, oh, he had a meeting with some people in the hotel the previous night.
That was you.
Again, that is a lie. But assuming without conceding, they actually had a meeting. That means he had breached his bail condition. What is expected in a civilized society is for the state security officials to inform their counsel, who will now apply to the court. Exactly. Oh, these gentlemen have breached their bail condition. Right. Can you please revoke those conditions?
Let me let you jump in here for a second.
Okay, so I read the DSS response to what happened on Friday.
No, but that's not all. That's not all. The court was on the second case. And of course, there was disruption of the proceedings. The judge had to leave the court. And there was confusion all over the place. And I'm sure you saw I was pinned down. Right. And we've already identified those who carried out this act of gangsterism.
So they said that they were outside, that they did not come
outside where?
Outside the courtroom.
No, again, they had no business in court. And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Our clients had been released the previous day. Their lawyers was to come to court and report service. So they had no business in the court.
They said that the people that we saw in the video were Sowore's men.
People, yes.
That Sowore's men, and I saw a bit of them saying, you will not kill him, you will not kill him. So, I saw different angles to the video.
Who were they saying that to?
So they said that it was planned and staged by.
No, what I'm saying,
Sowore
if
to make
Sowore
it
people
look-
wanted to kill him, and from what you saw, right? Is it not the duty of security men
To protect
to save him? More so that you want to arrest him.
Yes.
Don't you know when anybody pin down a citizen, you could kill him?
Yeah.
And so if you have security men who were there and those are not their men, what is required is to save him. More so that they wanted to arrest him. Do you want
To arrest a dead person.
to arrest a dead person?
My question, sir,
Who is also a defender in a serious case?
is a very serious case of
But
this
like I
matter.
said, we know them. They know I know all of them.
Okay. All right.
So the seriousness of this matter is one that the DSS is coming out now to claim that they followed every rule in the book.
Which
That in-
rule?
Hold on, let me land the question, sir. That they followed the rules of the court, that they didn't come into the courtroom. Now, my question is, if the DSS required a court order to detain Sowore in the first place, why didn't the DSS get a court order to revoke his bail that has already been varied by the court and met? Why did it have to be in that manner that they have to come into court and pick him up? Why
Now,
exactly?
let me just address this rather reckless lie that they didn't come into the courtroom. When the court's proceedings have been disrupted, the trial judge, the Honorable Justice Ijoma Ojukwu, summoned the lead prosecution counsel and the lead defense counsel.
Right.
I was already outside when I was informed. My colleague, who had informed that my clients were about being arrested and who left the court, I had to be called on phone to come back. So we had a meeting with the judge where our leadership expressed our dismay over the development and over the illegal occupation of our courtroom. The lawyer told the government, Dr. Hassan Liman SN, apologized to the judge and claimed total ignorance of the unfortunate development. At that stage, our leadership asked him, go call me the most senior officer here. The officer came. I know his name, you know. I won't mention his name yet. And the officer came. And the judge challenged him. He wanted to deny their involvement in the court. And the judge said, I have my CCTV.
Watching, exactly.
You want to watch what happened in my court? He then apologized profusely.
Saw it in the papers.
Told the judge for the amnivation of our court. At that stage, the judge ordered him and the lawyer, go and remove your men from my court. It was at that stage that the officers were withdrawn from the court because Sowore was still in the court and they wanted to take him away.
Okay,
And please, listen to this. You do not arrest anybody in the premises of
the
a
court.
because ultimately, the business of the day will be concluded. The person will have to move out of the court premises. So to say, oh, we were not there, where were you?
Exactly.
Where were you? And if you were sure that Sowore's friend state managed the attack on him, physical brutalization,
Why didn't you do something?
why didn't you arrest them?
My belief is that government has not involved, has not engaged the DSS.
But I'm sure you know they tell a lot of lies.
Let's go on a break.
officially.
Let's go on a break. We're going to come back because when we come back, we'll discuss some of the consequences because the U.S. has actually conducted a press briefing concerning this, and they're going to make a martyr over this man, and it seems like something we need to.
No,
really
they won't
take.
make him a tie because we won't allow them to kill him.
All right. So let's
We won't allow them to kill him.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll discuss this conversation, this topic.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on the show, matter. Go ahead now, Bijulu.
Yeah, so the federal government is saying that they wouldn't have folded their hands to allow someone who is calling for a destabilization of the country. At the same time, they are saying that the DSS is saying, on the other hand, that they do not take orders, that they can go ahead and carry out their arrest without necessarily taking orders from the presidency. So I'm wondering if the DSS, according to the papers, this morning,
independent.
Yes.
Who was saying yesterday that the DSS, or SSS, I don't call them DSS, but that's their AK alias. Their name is known to law, State Security Service. They are a service for the state, for the Nigerian state, not for the presidency. The law that has created this organization has described it as State Security Service.
So just independence, too. That's what you're
not
saying.
the independent. No, you are supposed to act for Nigeria, not for the government in power. That's very important, because there's a difference between the security of the people in power and the security of the Nigerian state.
And that's what they're saying. That's their argument, exactly.
No,
and they're working for us.
See, when they are talking of somebody used the word revolution, they say he wants to destabilize. What are the allegations? What are their facts? They say Sowore traveled to Dubai to collect millions of dollars to remove the Buhari regime from office.
Where's the money?
No. Mr. Sowore, when we now put it to them that Mr. Sowore has never stepped the shores of Dubai or any part of UAE in his life, the allegation collapsed.
So they have
to say, okay,
pick up another one.
It was, he had engaged himself in terrorist activities. Okay, proof. Okay, they went to a court behind us and got an order to detain Sowore for 45 days to investigate this alleged terrorism. At the end of the investigation, nothing was found. Okay, so okay, let's go to court all the same, because it became embarrassing. Meanwhile, they went to him in detention. Can we reach a deal? Please, leave us alone. I said, what do you mean? Operate within the law. I've never operated outside the law.
So we had
when they couldn't succeed, they met me. And they wanted me to persuade him to agree to sign his death warrant. And I told them off. That was when the government decided to file a charge. The charge is in court. No responsible government can subject a citizen to immediate trial. Once you have charged him, bring your witnesses to court. But don't go to the media using the machinery of the presidency of the country.
My question, sir.
To levy allegation. Now, just a minute. Okay. The case has been adjourned at their instance because they are not ready for trial.
Yes.
The government is not ready for trial. They prefer to keep him without trial.
Custody.
And then run commentary.
So my question is, why is President Muhammadu Buhari now, as the president of the country, doing everything against the same values that people died for to enshrine democracy in this country? One of which is, of course, disobedience of court orders, because if failure to work within the tenets of the law like this, and I said the president because the head of the DSS, Mr. Bichi, reports directly, the head of the SSS now, reports directly to the presidency, and he cannot claim not to be aware of the activities of the SSS as regards this case.
I think you media people will have to throw that question to the president. And why it is important is this. General Muhammadu Buhari and others had a protest in Kano in 2003. The police disrupted the rally, violently disrupted the rally, tear-gassed them. His deputy, the late Dr. Shuba Okadibo, passed on account of the poisonous gas inhaled by him a couple of days later. The ANPP leaders, led by General Muhammadu Buhari, contacted me. Please, can you help us challenge this law that requires us to ask for police permit before we can express ourselves in our country? We went to court. I didn't charge them. I did it pro bono. Federal High Court, we won. Court of Appeal, we won. Today, that is the law, that Nigerians can protest. Whether you call it a revolutionary protest or reactionary protest, it is not a criminal offense. Yeah. Unlike those who remove a democratically elected government in 1983. That group was led by General Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah. Right.
So, sir.
In 2011, I beg you, in 2011, following the revolution in Egypt, President Muhammadu Buhari urged Nigerians, please emulate, be prepared to have a revolution like the Egyptian revolution. That revolution of Egypt claimed over 800 lives. So who is talking of destabilizing a country?
The country.
Yeah. We have to round up.
We need to highlight the fact that Bakari wasn't rearrested. That's the Olawale Bakari.
Yes?
Yes, he wasn't rearrested. It was just Sowore, and they were saying that...
They even claimed that I promised to produce him. If you didn't want to arrest him, why would I be...
Promising.
So, but, you know, a lot of lies. So, but what is important, I beg you, there is no warrant of arrest.
Which is what is important.
To justify Sowore's arrest. There is no detention order issued by any court to justify Sowore's detention. What they are doing, these guys are operating outside the ambit of our law.
So the person responsible for this is our president, because,
of course,
like Nima established, the president, SSS reports to the president gives order on everything that takes place. So who should be talking to now is the president.
Even assuming, like the Garba Shehu said yesterday, that they don't have to take instructions from the president. Now that the whole world,
the president should speak up that he stands with the law.
Condemning the invasion of a court, the president has to speak up. And what is important, please note this, in Malam Garba Shehu's statement, he never ever defended the invasion of the court.
No, he didn't.
Neither did he speak on the capture of Sowore inside the country. He didn't.
As the person representing Sowore, what would make you feel like justice has been served to Sowore right now? What would make you feel like justice has been served concerning him? What would they do? What would the president say? What would the SSS say that would make you feel justice has been served?
I don't want them to say anything.
They should release
it is to follow the rule of law. Yeah. There is an order for the release of this man. If you want to get him back to detention, you must go back to a court and get an order. And that is what is done in any civilized society. Yeah. Even under the military. When General Muhammadu Buhari was in power, we never went through this odious experience. All court orders for the release of political detainees or criminal suspects were complied with.
There were insinuations quickly that he could have been at flight risk, and that is one of the reasons they had to come into the courts to get him.
Flight risk where?
To run away, like Nnamdi. They cited Nnamdi Kanu.
You know, these guys, the law does not speak in speculations, does not, or conjecture. All those arguments were made in court. And the court addressed them. And that was why the court restricted Sowore's movement to Abuja.
They have his passport.
Of course. Yeah. They could also monitor him.
We have to round up, sir, but I want you to just tell, so now that he's been detained again, what are the next steps? What are you doing?
Of course, we are not going to operate illegally like its abductors. We are going to take advantage of the provisions of the law because it cannot be justified. And mind you, we're not talking of Sowore alone. Kone Sambodasuki has been granted bail now by 5 different courts.
So we have precedents of
in the same way. He was released by Kuje prison, now correctional center. At the gate of the prison,
he was rearrested.
That's not even as bad as this one. This one was within the court.
We have had municipal courts and the regional court in Abuja that have asked the government to release this man. They refused to release him. Of course, you're also aware of the case of Ezaki and his wife and others. At a stage, they say, oh, these people want to be detained. They are enjoying themselves. Another time, they said, if we release Sowore, he may be knocked down on the highway. And on another occasion, they said, oh, Mr. Falana has not brought his shorties. And the court, the judge had to ask the lawyer when he said that, I beg your pardon. Who is in charge here? I have signed that people be released. Your clients were served the release order. You are asking the surety that have approved to be brought to your client. What is going on? And of course, the lawyer had to drop that.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. But let me just take a few tweets, Nima. Nima, I want to take a few tweets.
So Ranzi says, good morning, ladies, good morning. And she's praying for Mr. Femi Falana. So when I see you, sir, I never missed Mr. Gani Fawemi. My question is, why did the federal government and the SSS, why are they so interested in Sowore? Is it a threat to them or to the country? Then Omogbala says, I want your view crew to circumspect Sowore's case. Mr. Falana is sitting down to protect the interests of his clients. No government in the world would sit down idly and allow a partaker in an election, but who came back later and after he lost to demand a revolution. Those two tweets.
So, well, in 2003, 2007, 2011, President General Muhammadu Buhari lost elections to the PDP. And on each occasion, he went to the street to lead demonstrations, to call for revolution. Yes. And the records are there. Please, let nobody kid us about what is going on.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take. Thank you so much, Sam. We'll definitely continue to follow up on this story and see what happens. Because right now,
our country depends on the rule of law. We want
all eyes on Nigeria right now.
Operate under the law.
The issue is obeying court orders. All right, that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, the other really hot topic, Serap's judgment against ex-governors collecting their pensions. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, Federal High Court in Ikoyi, Lagos State, has ordered the federal government to recover pensions collected by former governors serving as ministers and members of the National Assembly. Report also has it that the court has directed that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami San, to challenge the legality of state pension laws permitting former governors and other ex-public officials to continually collect the pensions. Joining us on the show is Executive Director of Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Mr. Adetokunbo Mumuni, that's Serap. And also joining us is the former Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, retired Honorable Adeyemi Ikuforiji. Welcome to the show. Right Honorable, sorry, I do apologize. Right Honorable Ikuforiji. You can call us on 070-80-668-014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. All right, so it was important we had the two of you because you took this case to court and obviously you got this judgment and you were the Speaker of the House that approved this jumbo salary for our ex-governors. We'll come to you a bit later, but let us start with Sarah and why you took this case to court and why it was important for us to get this law repealed.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here once again. The position that we took in Serap is that in a democracy, whatever must happen within the democratic environment must be governed by not only law, but good conscience and what makes economic sense to Nigerian people. We believe that when we let's look at the original idea of pension. The original idea of pension is for somebody who will have worked for the government, either of the federation or the state, for about 30 years. So that what the person has to live with will be little strength to pursue money for himself. Now, pension is not ordinarily meant for somebody who served for 4 years or who served for 8 years at the maximum. So that is the way we look at it, maximum. So that is the way we look at it. Now, the next question is, now, somebody had ruled as a governor for 4 years or 8 years, is now a minister or is now a senator. How do you now justify the receipt of double emoluments? Because that's what it means to us. When you are a former governor and you are now a senator or you are now a minister, you should keep one of the emoluments. Is either you want to maintain the position of what you get as ministers or what you get as governor.
So I'll come to you. Let me be sure I'm clear. Yeah. So you're not against ex-governors collecting pensions? Because we do have ex-governors collecting pensions. They have not gotten reappointments elsewhere.
Good.
So that means your argument that 30 years versus 8 years doesn't hold water because
No,
if an
well,
8-year governor is still allowed to collect pensions, that means you're only up against those who are been reappointed somewhere else.
No, let me tell you. The first idea of pension is not, that is our own position first.
Okay.
The idea of pension is not for somebody who served for 4 years, who served for 8 years. Yes. The idea of pension belongs to civil service.
Yes.
That's the notion of pension that we know. Exactly. That is that point.
Okay, let me jump in here for a second.
So, which is why I wanted to get the details of your case as itself, the details of the elements of the case that you filed, that you got judgment on. Is it against, pension, like Maria is trying to put, just for information for those watching, because I had this argument, people calling me over the weekend, or that, those who have finished that are collecting pension that are now holding offices, which is why the judgment covered the former Senate President and, the present head of the NDDC. Those people who are now serving still in government, who have been ex-governors, who are due to collect their pension. You didn't address this Zamfara case, but addressed generally those who are holding.
So you're not against Zamfara's case?
No, you see?
No, because we have to be clear, because there's a bit of a contradiction here.
Okay. Let me tell you what the judgment says.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, we had written to the Attorney General of the Federation that certain laws exist in Nigeria, passed by about 22 state House of Assembly.
Okay.
Now, Attorney General, you are the servant of Nigerians.
Exactly.
You are supposed to be the law officer of Nigeria.
Yes.
These laws should interest you. Reason, these laws should call for contest. You should go to court and challenge it. That is what the Freedom of Information Act says we should do. The Attorney General said he's not bothered. And that was why we went to court. To compel the Attorney General of the Federation to challenge these laws. That is the point that we went to court to come back.
Let me come to...
ask him a question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I saw that the Lagos State, for instance, is saying that they will not repeal the law. That's the ex-governor's pension law, saying that it does not contravene the Constitution. As long as it's within the tenets of the Constitution, they will still uphold it, that they have a right, every right, to make laws that are of benefit to the society as they deem fit. Now, I want to ask you, how does, giving pensions to former governors, we've had, this is the 4th Republic now, so that means we have like 3 other governors, along with the current governor, getting such huge amounts of money. How does that benefit the society?
Okay, I think there are a few clarifications we need to make here. And personally, I feel very disturbed when we have issues of national concern like this and the way we go about most of those things sentimentally. We need to be realistic. Look, when my brother Momoni here was talking about pension, he mentioned for 30 years. That's not true. Even in the civil service, if you spend 10 years, you are already entitled to pension.
Okay. Contributory.
And now, look at the jumbo that we talk about. Yeah. It's so unfair to some of us who served the public conscientiously over the years at the expense of our life and our family lives. What is jumbo in a pension of less than 1 million naira a month to the governor of Lagos State? What's jumbo about it? I was a banker for years. I know what those who were my colleagues in the private sector, what they are today. And I am the longest serving speaker in this federation. And today, I get nothing, not a dime, for my service. I lived in my own personal house in Isolo. I was Speaker of the House for over 3 years before I succeeded in getting our government to build a house for the Speaker of Lagos State in Lagos. And the very month I ended office as Speaker, the media was already after me that I was still in the Speaker's house. I built the house. I stayed in my own personal house for over 3 years. The media didn't see it. Nigeria didn't see it. Lagos didn't say anything about it. I didn't collect a dime from government. You look at somebody like Paja Konde. There is a story about it. He served this state for 4 years and 3 months, and many of us, even those who were not alive when he served, they are still benefiting from what he did to us. But I got a call on a Monday morning from a very respected elder statesman. He said he saw something over the weekend that made him unhappy. He said, what is it, Egbon? And he said he was at a function over the weekend, and Baba Jakande was at that function. And when Jakande was to leave, he saw Jakande to his car. When he opened the door of the car, for Baba Jakande, who served us like tomorrow will not come, the driver of Alhaji Jakande said, Baba should not come in because the car cannot move. They have to push the car. That was a man who even used his own personal car in
the
office.
law was not backdated to serve to cover him.
The law is supposed to be for civilian governors.
Okay, so within this law,
yes,
a lot of people have issues when we saw the documentation of what the law entails.
Yeah.
It means that for Lagos State, which is where you have,
Yeah.
you were in the custody of, you had your own say.
Yeah.
You were going to give the governor his basic salary. We understood that part. He was going to get furnishing for his house. He was going to get accommodation in Lagos and in Abuja.
We're going to build a house for him in Lagos.
And Abuja.
And Abuja.
Yeah, well, if you
Every
serve
4 years, new car.
No, if you serve for more than a term,
Yes.
yeah, we can build a house for him in Abuja. Yes.
So I look at the way this law was made, and I look at the largesse and the generosity that the Lagos State House of Assembly was bestowing on the ex-governor. I'm wishing, can you bestow that same generosity on the citizens of Lagos State to the extent with which I gave birth in General Hospital, and I say it every time on this show, and I understand that till date, the people that give birth in General Hospital are still suffering. So why don't we use that same magnanimity? Because it is, you are here to serve us.
Well,
don't laud it that you have served us. We did not beg you to serve us. You volunteered to serve us. So if you've served us and it seems like you paid a price, you should pay the price.
Let's be honest about this. I'm a Yoruba man.
Yes, sir.
And what we say is that anyone that will do a good to and won't say thank you to us,
Olasha pack the load in initiative.
It's like
pack it like
So how have you thanked the citizens that voted for you?
If somebody served you and you are not willing to say thank you to that person that served you,
I don't think we're objecting to thank you. I think it's
Just
how
too bad.
much of thank you we are doing.
No, that's not
Let me
even
come
the
to
problem.
Nima.
So the realities of today, financially and economically, is that we can no longer afford to have. Imagine that the present governor also, becomes a past governor. The last one, past governor, we have about 12, and then we continue this maintain this particular law. Presently on ground now,
gardener,
and with the present
staff.
condition, and the president is trying to get a 30 billion naira loan for infrastructure. In Lagos State presently, there's an state of emergency on all the roads in Lagos, and I know the governor will be incurring costs on that alone. But then he still has to uphold a law that the House of Assembly has put that creates a burden. Because this law, whether you agree or not, creates a burden on the state. No, I'm just saying that with our present realities now, if you look back in retrospect, did you do a good job? Did you take it holistically? Because this Olosha principle example doesn't cover this.
No, I
think
think as at the time that law was made, we did a very good job.
Okay.
I mean, I can still remember the governor that I worked with, and who was going out of the,
ending his tenure
then. I remembered the work they did for Lagos. I remembered very well that he took Lagos from a 600 million naira internally generated revenue to about 10 billion.
Which is commendable.
But you mentioned I know that he actually made Lagos a state that can stand on its own. And I didn't see anything.
Mr. Mumini said something in the spirit
wrong.
of good conscience.
Yes.
In that spirit of good conscience, vis-a-vis the people, the suffering of the people. Should that, I agree with you that during that time, maybe it was the right thing to do. But as ex-former speaker, would you advise a review should be done, a constitutional review should be done within
our conditions?
This is where I'm going. And I said this at the beginning. You see, there are some things that we do. We just go emotionally about them. we don't go to the depth of it.
Right.
The fact that a lot of administrations in this country, at all tiers of government, have failed Nigerians, have failed the citizens, have not done what they are supposed to be done. That on its own has its import on the feelings of the people and the emotion that we are expressing today. If everyone had worked for us the way Jakode worked for us,
Exactly.
if everybody had done what Tinubu did in his 8 years in office, I don't think we'll find ourselves where we are. And most of the things we're talking about now, we won't be talking about them.
Okay, so
I mean,
my question is to you, sir.
Question.
Yeah,
I was going to quick break. When I come back, I'll start with you. Okay. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so I know, I had a question.
My question is to Ogasera. And so I know that we have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, we have the legislative. The legislative is in charge of making the laws. The judiciary interprets the law. The executive implements and executes the law. Now, do you think that the judiciary, according to our constitution, has a right to repeal a law that the legislative arm has already made? That's one. Two, now, most of these laws, like in Ogun, I think it's Ondo State, the bill was passed and signed into law in 2004. In Lagos State, it was in 2007. That's how many years now? Why is it that it's now that we are beginning to pay attention and calling for a repeal of the laws?
Let me tell you, there are three tiers of government. The legislator makes the law, the executive implements or executes the law, the judiciary interprets. But the judiciary will not say, I want to repeal any law. No. Somebody has to go to the court to ask for such relief. So that is what you're doing now. That is what we have succeeded in doing.
Besides, they didn't.
So why now?
They didn't repeal. They merely asked the Attorney General of the Federation to take it up.
Okay. Ma, if I can come in there, why now? That's exactly what we were discussing before. I mean, if things go normal, if we get things done the way they should be done, if, like Agia was saying, if you go to Kogi and the roads are good for you, if everything,
how much pensions are
collected,
collected.
Exactly.
you probably will not start looking at.
So when that time comes,
and there's a comfortable bed.
Let me take this call, sir. I'm sorry to cut you. He's been holding for a while. Good morning. Are you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm still
Thanks
here.
for calling. Go ahead, please. Sorry for keeping you.
Okay. Hello.
You're live. Go ahead.
Hello. Is it Morayo?
Yes, you are live. Go ahead, please.
All right. I'm Mrs. Shitu calling from Agege.
Okay,
I
welcome
love
to
your
the show.
show.
Thank you, madam.
Nima, I love you. Can I please speak to the former Speaker of Lagos State?
Please,
Go ahead.
Right here. Go ahead.
All right. Former Speaker of Lagos State, actually, we think people like you shouldn't need no payment after your service because you haven't done anything to help the masses. For someone like me, I don't know whether you remember me. We did a business with you while you were.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, I think we lost that.
Oh, I'm so sorry we lost that. I'm sorry, Mr. Try to call back. Try to call back.
Following up with what you're saying, Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians now feel like being a Nigerian is like we're serving a penalty.
Punishment.
We're being punished for being Nigerians. We're being charged left, right, center on many fronts. And then we see that these funds that they are soaking away from us, these funds that would have benefited us, is not being given to people that we know have, that they have stuff. So that's the issue. But on the other hand,
they're still borrowing to give the people.
And we're at a stage in Nigeria where we feel the country is poor. we are not able to provide the basics. We still have people in Lagos State, pupils in Lagos State primary schools sitting on the floor. There are pictures. So you can't have such a school and you'll be defending a 50 million naira car for a former governor that served. If you served, you won't have pupils on the floor. So putting that aside, because that is us being sentimental and emotional, and you first came by telling us that we should not be emotional and sentimental. We cannot be unemotional
on the other side, it's our side. Yeah. The former leaders to have families.
Yeah.
They left everything they were doing to serve. Yes, you're right. But so at the same time, is that what that phrase you use? That interest of good conscience. Yes. Now, how do we measure good conscience
in a poor country?
In a country like this, because everybody's celebrating what happened in Zamfara. And we are hoping, many cities are hoping that it will trickle down to other states. But as it is, many cities have started, like Lagos State. Now, maybe Lagos State has the right to give this kind of largesse because, hey, Lagos State
are the only states that are viable.
They're viable, yes. So the economic hub of Nigeria. So we can understand, we can almost make an excuse for Lagos State. But other states, I think it's Lagos and Rivers that have this most jumbo salary. Yes,
those are not viable.
It's jumbo. The value of that house is 700 million naira. That's the value of the house you build for them in Nigeria.
11 million naira house.
That's the value. It's online. Let's Google it. The value is 700 million.
It's online.
Yes.
Visitors are online.
You're online. Somebody put it there. Is it
okay, can you give us the correct
is it a law that says the thing should be 700 million?
How much is it, sir?
If I ask the government to build a house
what's the value,
you can build a house of 100 million, you can build a house of 50 million, you can build a house of 2 billion. There is nothing.
Okay, we have to wrap up.
Let's come to Adetukumbo. Yes. I must continue to applaud. We need to have more civil society speaking up concerning where they feel things are wrong, because Nigerians tend to just sit down and we would chat on Twitter and work, be complacent. But what do you want to achieve by raising this case? What exactly would make you feel like we have succeeded in making a change? Would it be for the governors to repeal totally, for the House of Assemblies to repeal totally every pension, or for them to create a segment that if you are serving in government, you don't get your pension? Which one would you say we should go for?
You see, thank you very much. You see, what we believe, and that is the thinking of most Nigerians, is that when somebody elects to serve us, when you contest to serve, you are serving by choice.
Yes, so.
Nobody forced you to serve us. So the idea that we must now compensate you.
Easy to say, you're not a governor. If I make you governor of the state today, would you say that you shouldn't collect pension? Would you?
We need to change the narrative. That's what I'm saying.
Let me tell you this. I am not a governor. I didn't contest to be a governor. So if you contested to be a governor, that is your business. Yes. Remember that when you are a governor, there are a lot of people, millions of people that can also be in the same position. Some people struggle so seriously to get the
and they don't get it.
So what is the problem?
So my question, sir, you didn't answer the question.
If you want to work for TVC, you are going to contest to come to TVC. But that does not mean you will not connect emolument from TVC.
Yes.
Okay. No, answer the question. Thank you very much. You see, the point we are making is that what will be justice and fair play to Nigerians is that if anybody, any governor, former governor, will receive a pension, it should not be double emolument. You cannot be a governor, a former governor, and a minister, and be collecting on both ways.
I think we can agree on that.
I quickly want to ask the former speaker, sir, that, we know how politics runs here. So as a speaker, you had your quota, your what's it called, list, when employment and all that comes. So you have certain benefits that accrue to you as a public office holder, which every other Nigerian would not have. So you could have used that opportunity to settle your dependents.
I'm sorry,
that you would not have to rely on.
That would have
run out of time. I'd like to get the details.
We'll bring him back. Unfortunately, I have to run off. But thank you so much, very much. So we've agreed that what we're asking is a review, a downward review, not to totally remove
and no double payments.
No double payments. So that's what we're doing. On that note, we end the show at this point. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.